Please don't speak in Latin, don't speak in German, don't speak in Creole, speak in Igbo or English.
Non mi provocare. Your Eminence, General Noel, my dear guests, my dear young people, good morning to all of you.
Good morning, my Lord Bishop.
I'm very formally dressed because they are waiting for me already in some part of my diocese. And I thank you, Your Eminence, for obliging, and also General Eze and all the other guest speakers, and I thank you. Noel, I didn't know you before, and I just spoke with you a couple of days ago. But speaking across the seats with the Cardinal, I found out it was the same thing that drove me to accept, that equally drove him to accept. By the way, if you think we look younger than our age, the General, Cardinal himself, and some tell me that too, the secret is our constant presence and association with young people. When I am with young people, I'm no longer conscious of my own age. And since they say age is in the mind, it then begins also to reflect in the body. Doing his morning workout, you think he is just in his teens. It is this constancy, this presence, this love for young people and their things. That is what I think sustains some of us, even as we continue to age physically. You can't change biology. Anyway, I'm impressed, very impressed. The first thing I have to say about this shaping the future is that if you remember, I got into trouble with the federal government and its state security apparatus in 2020, in October, because I said, that was during the End SARS protest. I said that the youth and youths of this country have endured too much. Years, we have been hearing that the youths are the leader of the future, and the people who said that 50 years are still leading. 50 years ago, are still leading, and they are not ready to go away. And just yesterday I got a clip with the background music of Fela's International Tif Tif of this country, whom they tagged permanent Nigerian youths. People have refused to admit their age and get out of the way. Recently, we discovered a professor who got his first school living certificate when he was 1 year old. That he got his first school living certificate at the age of 1. Many of you are where you are today because older logs are occupying the space. And incidentally, you are encouraged this continuity by your own attitudes. These are not leaders of tomorrow, they are leaders of today. This is my own position. If everybody who is below 45 in this country were to do nothing for 24 hours, no telephone calls, no keke drivers, no escort, no Okada, no students, nobody to fetch water for anybody, nobody to clean anybody's shoes or wash anybody's clothes. Look, you are controlling the machine of the movement of this country, but you don't know. And I am happy at your selection. Beginning from you, there is nobody among those of us here, at least now, who got to where he is through connections or parental privilege. My father was a classroom teacher. Cardinal John Icon says I'm lucky because his father was a farmer. General Eze's father was a taxi driver. I sit in my office as bishop, and mothers, fathers come weeping that I should help their children find a job. And I ask them, where is your child? I ask, the job you are doing, was it your father who found that job for you or your mother? Why would your son be sitting at home watching Manchester United and you are here looking for a job for him? I'm sorry I don't have a job, but if I had, I wouldn't give it to likes of your son. When young people tell you to empower them, they just mean give me money. I'm happy that Noel, you guys are distracting this man who came from America to listen to some of these ideas. I'm happy that the way you structure this conversation, education comes first. Education comes first. Check all the models of transformation you have in the world in recent history. Japan, India, China, Singapore, they were all education-based, education-driven. And that is why dictatorships throughout the world, and especially in Nigeria, don't mind whether they call it democracy or any other thing. Dictatorships are always afraid of education. Because they know the greatest empowerment young people will get is education. I'm happy because that education now is even moving into an area where young people are in control. Information, communication, and communication technologies. And this is where much of the information that many of you have now comes. But the question is, what is the content you are putting in there and the content you are consuming in this country? If it had become possible for COVID to force the world to invest in online university and secondary and primary education, thereby making you use your smartphones and laptops to study from home, it is left to you to decide what you do when you turn on your gadgets at home, where nobody is controlling you. Because this instrument of education is now in your own hands. And it must be an education that trains people in skills and offers values. Not just the system of education that provides theoretical information. We are fond of criticizing past generations. Nigerians and Africans in general will always blame the colonial masters and missionaries for the system of education that we have in our country today. I find that ridiculous. Because the colonial masters and missionaries needed clerks and catechists. And they trained people to do the work that they wanted. We are the ones to identify our needs and tailor our educational system to solve our problems. We are constantly depending on models and solutions provided by our ancestors and applying them to problems we no longer have. I've never seen a people so culturally lazy. Other examples. What we call culture, all the cultural practices, all those masquerades and practices you are clinging on to in the name of our culture, including your system of dress. They were solutions that our forefathers provided for the problems they had. Social, practical solutions. And based on the limited knowledge of the universe and environment that they had. And now our situation has changed. Our problems are new. And we're insisting on applying their solutions to our problems. You don't eat food with cutlery because it is against your culture. Your forefather did not have cutlery, for heaven's sake. You are carrying 2 or 3 smartphones, and yet you think the only way to solve your technological problem is to consult a DPI in any way. And the art and science of rainmaking and rain control that they devise, our engineers and technologists have been unable to codify that science and art so that we surround it with mystery and it looks like ogu. What is more, before the contact with Europeans, our people had looms that produced cloth. But those looms produced cloth that was very short and very narrow. So they would tie that piece of cloth around them, and that was all their clothing. Amara akwa n'ukwu, sọọsọ ofu akwa, ọ bụrụ ya bụ na nwaanyị eyigo akwa, maka na enwere ọzọ. The story is told, Your Eminence, of a missionary who came to church one day and found all the women with their cloths tied around their waist, and he covered his eyes, a white missionary, because the top was open. And the women said, what is his problem? The catechist said, your chests should be covered. Wow, we are sorry. The following week or the following month, the missionary came back. These women removed the cloth from down and covered top. And the missionary said, this is worse. And the woman said, which one does he want? We cover down, we know good. We cover up, we know what. Which one he want? When you want to dress properly for your parties, for interviews, you wear Versace, you wear Dolce & Gabbana, you wear Giorgio Armani, you wear Lacoste, you wear all those expensive designers, but when you want to show your culture as a Nigerian, you go back to one piece of cloth. Something is wrong with us. If you attend any meeting anywhere in the world, a gathering, my young lady, you're welcome. A gathering of women from all over the world, pull any of them by the hair, it will be natural, except Africans. Women have decided never to wear their natural hairs, beginning from some of these things that look like mount, till the Indian and Brazilian hairs that you spend money to buy. I say we are culturally lazy. Why can't young Nigerian girls design and develop systems of maintaining their hair that will make it admired throughout the world? This is where to begin. It's about education, value-based, skills acquisition-based. Please know that before formal education was introduced, education was transmission of knowledge from elders to the younger ones. But that was because older people had acquired experience, and there was no other way of acquiring such experience apart from age. Now our people have admitted a person who travels has more to tell than a person who is old. So new experiences and new exposure are empowering you to be sources and agents of education. I'm also happy because from that education, value-based education, you can talk of ethical leadership. Ethical leadership, leadership based on values and morals. Without that type of leadership, no matter how much we change governments, nothing will change. I'm happy also about the issue of equality. But I have a warning, and especially also to Noel, who is living outside our context. When you talk about equality between male and female, man and woman, you should never ignore the differences between the two sexes. That's one point. Secondly, that equality between male and female should not automatically translate to the present gender ideology that is a political program. Because, prove me wrong if I am, I have not discovered any African language that has the word for gender. But we have words for male and for female. So we have to be talking about equality between male and female, equality in dignity, equality in responsibility, and equal opportunities for all. Be careful when they are being deceived. Those who are giving you lessons about equality of women are those who discriminate most against their women in their own countries, beginning from the United States of America. It is not long ago since women were allowed to vote in many of these so-called developed countries. These are things you should contest. And looking at models of womanhood, glorious womanhood that we have all around the country, you have many people to imitate. I would, at this point, just wish you fruitful exchange, and I can't tell you how happy I am to have been a part of this engagement. I thank everybody who made it possible, and I encourage all young people to know that you are not just leaders of tomorrow, you are leaders of today. I'll end on this note. I was in Italy recently, in Rome, and I walked into a big shopping mall, one of the biggest in Rome, and suddenly I started hearing some music. Collect your money, wake up, wake up. I said, where am I? I looked around. Before I knew where I was, the salesman in one of the shops was already doing olololo bogao. I said, is it how far it has gone? But immediately following that, you have, what is that again? I want to flex my love. I want to impress. I want to carry my love away. The place they love. I'm my woman. I want to impress. I want to carry my love away. The place they love. Oh no. I said, which one be on the same 28-year-old Nigerian ruling the musical world twice in few months. If Kiss Daniel could do it,